Okay.
We're good.
Great. Following is the agenda for the regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, Passaic County, to be held in Pompton Lakes Municipal Building, 25 Lenox Avenue, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, Wednesday, September 23rd, beginning at 7:30. Call to order, prayer, or salute. To stand for the flag salute, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through the notice posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building, mailed to all, requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Bennett.
Here.
Councilman Day.
Here.
Councilman DeLine.
Here.
Councilwoman Kent. Here. Councilwoman Polidori. Here. Councilwoman Riker.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney, David Rutenberg, and our Borough Administrator, Kevin Boyle.
Okay, thank you. Before we start, I have a couple announcements and a proclamation. The Emergency Preparedness Seminar, which we present every year by Al Evangelista and OEM, was recorded today. The PowerPoint presentation will be posted on the website, and the video presentation will be available to view on the website on Channel 77. Please check your listings to find out when it's on. This is the normal talk we do about emergency preparedness, and some of the things we go over are tools and equipment, evacuation, what you do with your pets, types of flooding, emergency warning systems. There's a list of about 15 things here. You know, I want to, at this time, always thank our OEM for all the hard work, and our CERT team. They really do put a lot of time and energy when we need them to come in and do what they have to do. So look for that on Channel 77. I have a proclamation. Whereas ovarian cancer is called the silent disease because its symptoms are often vague, ovarian cancer is the 5th leading cause of cancer deaths among women and the leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States. Each year, more than 22,000 women are diagnosed with the disease. Approximately 16,000 die from it. If detected in early stages, survival from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%. Yet the 5-year survival rate for the disease is only 28%. Because it's so difficult to detect early. The National Ovarian Cancer Coalition of Northern New Jersey, the Order of Eastern Star Mountain View, Chapter number 205, and the Free and Accepted Masons Lodge number 88 are partners to provide awareness of ovarian cancer through Turn the Town Teal awareness program. The ribbon and storefront posters will be provided jointly by all the groups above, and will be posted on our light posts and mailings. They are, what was the color? They're like a teal color, right? Is that correct? Teal color. So now, therefore, I, Michael Serra, Mayor of the Borough of Pompton Lakes in the County of Passaic County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and support the Turns the Town Teal Awareness Program. Please keep that in your mind when you're driving by and you see the bows on all our posts. And I thank all the groups involved for putting that together. Okay. Could I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? Councilman Begg.
Second.
Council President Venon. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Anyone from the public like to address? Yeah, Dave.
David Farnick, 107 Federal Hill Road. First, congratulations, Maria, and Act 2. And also for Frank Giaconetta, and Barbara, Kyle, and Kaylin, good luck in Miami. And so you'll be missed around here. And also, Sedge mentioned during the Zoom meeting from the Republican Club that Maria and most of us had from last week. Tim Trost mentioned about the voting ballot box to be placed back here. And so if I can give my opinion on something about it, so which I've seen, there's not too much lighting back here. So maybe a suggestion is if the voting box can be placed by the police cars, so at least then it'll be easier for the cops and the dispatchers to watch the boxes. So at least there's more lighting there than back here. Because you know how much light that there is back here comparing to there. So in my opinion, it's a bit better by the police cars, and there's a lot more light there. And so if it's okay with Chief Clark, then you can ask him, then see what he says. And also, let's see, what else do I have here? And also for Maria, when you used to sit out here, then you came here to say your say. So it looks like now I get text and yell at you saying that you never gave your name and address. So now I got no say. And that's all I got.
Thank you. So about the box, just so everybody understands what you're talking about, the county has decided, and we're the only county in the state right now that's doing it, we're going to provide every town with a voting box for voting that's coming up, because it is mail-in ballots. They do have to be secured, and they have to be covered with security 24 hours a day. We are in the process of putting in new cameras as we speak right now in the front and back. If they finish those in time, I'm going to try to get the box put in the front of the building. If they don't finish it in time, it will probably go in the back corner next to the police department.
In front here or?
Right over there, yes.
Over here?
Well, if we get the cameras in the front, it would, yes. We don't have cameras yet there.
Oh, okay.
They're repairing them now.
So I thought there were cameras.
Not right now, they're repairing them.
But I know on the side by the police department
There
are.
is, yes. So that's where it would end up if we don't finish with our cameras in the beginning.
So it'll be by the entrance
It'll
out
either be in
here?
the front or on the side, yes.
Oh, okay.
So for the public's concern, when you receive your mail-in ballot, there's three ways of doing it. You can mail it back. You have to put a stamp on it, mail it back to the address that's on the envelope. You can come here and drop it off at one of the polling boxes that we'll have. It'll either be in the front or on the side, or you can take it to on election day itself. There will be a polling booth open that you can drop it off into. There will be no voting at the polling booth except by a provisional ballot only. So you can't go to a machine and vote. So everybody who's a voter, and I hope everybody is voting, has to remember that there is no machines to vote on this year. Everything is done by paper, so you have three choices to handle that, and we'll have much more to follow on that as we get closer. Thank you.
So the voting in person will be just like the primaries, like we did at Lennox School?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay, so it'll be like that then?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Hi, Chris Winninger, Washington Avenue, Pompton Lakes,
Just need the number.
1461. So I drove by the ramp, and I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the Lake Committee. It looks fantastic. It looks tremendous, and I know Maria's a part of the Lake Committee with me, so I just wanted to thank the Borough Council for getting that done. And I know myself, I know a lot of residents will look forward to using it for many, many years to come.
Right, I mean, as you know, we got big plans for it down there, to
Yes.
what's going to happen down there. And what we were just talking about before, we actually ordered all the new playground equipment, and hopefully we might get it very soon, in the next month or so. So theoretically, that equipment could even go in before the winter hits,
Okay.
which would be great to see, and then we have all the big improvements. But I also would like to thank Tilcon for helping us with that. You know, we reached out to Tilcon, and they did pave that for us, so that's
Yeah,
great
it
help.
looks tremendous, fantastic, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, I guess we'll have a motion to close the public session.
So moved.
Councilman DeWine.
Moved, Riker.
Woman Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes of September 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Councilman DeWine. Second.
Second, Riker.
Councilwoman Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims. Motion to approve the following bills as listed below.
So moved.
Councilman DeWine, Councilman Begg. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, whenever you're ready, Liz. Anybody wanting any consent agendas pulled?
Okay. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 20-189 through Resolution 20-191.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Council President Denon,
Second.
Councilman DeWine. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Second readings.
Okay, these ordinances have been advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 20-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 190 of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes and reestablishing the zone regulations in the RN multifamily district, including Block 100, Lot 25, in the AH2 zone, and affirming the revised zoning map of the borough dated July 13th, 2020.
Okay, I'm going to open the meeting before you say something there. Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 2020.
So moved.
Councilman
So moved, Riker.
Councilwoman Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public want to address just this motion? Okay. You want to go ahead? That's your chance. We have just a little update on this. You want to give an update on this?
No,
Isn't it-
on this ordinance?
Wasn't it this one that we had some changes on?
The,
Corrections?
we did. Though the date of the zoning map was correct in the name of the ordinance, it was not correct in the reference in Section 3. And so that has now been revised in Sections 3 to say the July 13, 2020 revision of the zoning map. Again, the ordinance had it in the ordinance title. It was just a typo in Section 3.
Okay.
That is the only revision.
Okay. Motion to close the meeting for public comments.
So moved.
Councilman DeWine?
Second.
Council President Bennett? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 2020 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg, Councilman DeWine? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker.
Yes.
Councilman Bannon.
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Councilman DeWine.
Yes.
Councilman Ken.
Yes.
Councilwoman. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Ooh, that's a tough slip right there.
Yes.
You forgive me, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay,
Okay.
ordinance 2021.
An ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, revising the parking prohibition on Riverview Road.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 20-21.
So moved.
Councilman Begg.
Motion, Riker.
Councilwoman Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the audience like to address just this ordinance? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 20-21?
So moved.
Council President Bennett. Need a second?
Second.
Councilman Devine. Motion to approve ordinance 20-21 for final adoption. Councilman Begg.
Second.
Motion Riker.
Council President Bennon. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman DeLine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to read my report that I like to read for people who don't see it on social media on the COVID virus, so just please bear with me for a minute. This is last Tuesday. As of Tuesday, September 15th, we have 4 new cases of the virus in Pompton Lakes. Since my last report, we have a total of 255 reported cases since the start of the virus. Thank you for all our residents for continuing to wear masks and practice social distancing. We continue to mourn the loss of the 9 residents who passed due to the virus complications. Our hearts are with them and their loved ones. Passaic County is the first county in the nation to provide free saliva testing from home. Please go to the Passaic County website for more information on how to order a kit. Gyms and indoor dining are open at 25%. Martial arts studios can now open at 25%, and all sports groups can now practice as long as they abide by strict state guidelines. Outside gatherings can have up to 500 people with 6 feet of separation and masks on. Indoor gatherings, 25% capacity or up to 150 people. The borough did have a small social distance 9/11 ceremony. Pompton Lakes will never forget. The townwide garage sale rescheduled for this Saturday is on. Unfortunately, most town events through our recreation department have been canceled. Pompton Lakes High School did have 3 positive cases in the last week, and our town nurse, school nurse, and school superintendent are working on contract tracing information at this point. It seems to be related to an outside school event with all children, where all the children were together and the children are home feeling fine and quarantined. Thank you to our Business Improvement District for working with our chamber to reopen our businesses. Please go out and support our wonderful restaurants and small businesses. They are all taking all necessary precautions to ensure your safety and enjoy your dining and salon experiences. Town Hall is open to the public. We are following all social distance guidelines. Please call first. We've come a long way, slowly but surely. We're getting there. Remain diligent, and remember, we are all in this together. Just an update from that report from last week. The school has now passed the 2-week period of quarantine. High school will be reopening on Tuesday, as long as there's no other cases, of next week. And the sports programs will resume. I think this Thursday they will start practicing again. So the 3 children that came down with the virus have been past their 2 weeks. Luckily and thankfully, no other children in the high school did test positive. I should also ask, because I did get a lot of calls, the children that tested positive in the high school had no younger siblings, so there was nobody affected in the elementary schools or middle schools from those 3 children. They were the oldest kids in the family. Okay, under my report, I want to thank the VFW and the Elks Lodge for having, was it the Elks? Rotary, I'm sorry. The VFW and the Rotary for putting on a golf outing. A lot of us participated here. It's nice to try to get back to a little bit of normalcy and, raise money for a good event. Let's keep in mind that I've heard from a lot of our nonprofit groups that they're all hurting right now. They can't do their fundraising. They can't collect money. They're really desperate to try to get some funds in to keep their programs running. So anything we can do to help them, let's keep that in mind. Tomorrow there is a redevelopment meeting about the proposed project in the pond hole. Anybody who's interested can go onto the Zoom. You can get the information from the building department, and they'll give you the information to sign in there. That is going to be a Zoom meeting. And that is my report. Who is next now? Council President Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. Sunday afternoon, Girl Scout Troop 97471, that's my younger daughter's troop, donated a bunch of unsold Girl Scout cookies to the Pompton Lakes Police as a gesture, a thank you to what they do for our community.
How about the Mayor and Council? You don't get any cookies from that?
You can ask the Chief.
All right.
I wanted to mention the Elks. Pasta dinner is Friday night, starting at 4. I'll let Councilman Polidori or anybody else give additional details, or we can talk about it later. Lastly, the 9/11 Promise Run. Our last council meeting was the first of 3 days of the virtual run. The Thursday I ran in Riverdale, stopped at the Armory, Police Headquarters and Fire Department, and then made my way back through Pompton Lakes. But then on Friday, I met with 24 other UPSers at our 43rd Street building right outside, right near the Intrepid. And all of us, plus, I didn't count, but we had almost all 50 states represented virtually, and then additional folks from other countries as well run along with us at that time. So that was a pretty good, pretty amazing turnout. And when we got down to the World Trade Center Memorial, you could hear a pin drop, because it was usually we get there in the evening when there are other folks allowed into the area. But we got there in the morning, and actually Vice President and a whole bunch of other folks were there at that time, so it was super quiet and very somber. But it's a fundraiser, and we're very close to the goal. The link is posted all over Facebook. If you have any questions about that or the scholarship process, feel free to reach out. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Begg.
As the mayor mentioned, I'd like to thank Al Evangelista for putting on that program on Channel 77. It's an important component of the OEM program, and he does a nice job with it every year. Speaking of the Rotary Club, we have a steak and chops that we have every fall. It's been canceled, but we very well may do it in the spring. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department's report for the month of August 2020 from Chief Derek Clark. There were 2,592 calls for service for the month of August. There were 749 motor vehicle stops, 500 summonses issued, 13 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 51 ambulance requests, 4 DWI arrests, 35 alarm conditions burglary, 9 alarm conditions fire, 1 burglary, 5 thefts, 1 sexual assault, no aggravated assaults, 8 domestic violence. The Detective Bureau investigated 17 complaints. There were no subpoenas served, no warrants served, and they conducted 7 background checks. That's all.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the police department, you know, we come from time to time, and we've all heard about speeding in town. So the police are out enforcing speeding. So, you know, any road you're driving on right now, you're going to see the police out there. And they're out there because we've had complaints from people about speeding. So let's remember, most of the roads in town are 25 miles an hour. Okay, Colfax Road, as we all know, tough road to drive very slow on, but you do have to drive 25 miles an hour on that road, so just keep that in mind. Okay, Councilman Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things, just so the council's aware. Similar to tonight's ordinance change on Riverview Road, there's going to be an ordinance change for Lincoln Avenue regarding limited parking. Again, it's an administrative change based on the signage on that roadway. It is not reflected in the ordinance, so we'll be introducing it to change it in the ordinance starting the next council meeting. And then the other thing I just wanted to bring up is the Flood Advisory Board is working to organize an online seminar for residents for information regarding flood insurance options, ways to reduce their flood insurance premium. It's going to be coordinated through the borough and then also through the New Jersey Association of Floodplain Managers. I believe our CRS coordinator, Nick Agnoli, will probably have some role. I just wanted to let the public know that that will be coming up. Again, it will be virtual, so people will be able to either participate online or maybe catch the video later on. And once we have that date set, we'll have the information sent out around town. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kent.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I attended the Board of Health meeting this past Monday, and we did pass the septic ordinance in town. through the Board of Health. We are in the flu season, and I mentioned last month, but I will say it again, we already had our first flu clinic, and the next one will be Monday, October 5th, from 2:30 to 6 o'clock, and then the one after that will be Monday, October 19th, from 2:30 to 6 o'clock, but you do have to pre-register, okay? And Medicare Part B, if you have Medicare, it's free. Otherwise, it'll be $15, cash, check, or money order, and it has to be exact change cash. That's a very good program to go to, so take advantage of it. In the past, every year we've had a river cleanup, and this year, because of the COVID and the concern with coming in contact with items that may be contaminated, and not having the ability to have social distancing, because we don't like the people to be out in the stream areas, alone, especially the high school students who are from the environmental club. This year we've had to cancel that, which would have been this Sunday, but the CRS coordinators and myself and Nick Agnotti from who handles our flood advisory board put together a really good idea for a virtual townwide river cleanup pledge. And tonight we have to decide which we're going to post signs that basically say keep our waters and rivers free of debris. Okay, so we're going to take the pledge and we're going to have everybody pledge through a form, which is here. Take the pledge to keep our rivers and streams free of debris, and when you're going to sign it. And then you're going to either mail it back or email it back to Liz. It's going to be done through the Environmental Protection Committee. So Councilwoman Polidori and I are going to work together on that. Since I threw her, under the bus, so to speak, when I came on council, but I'm going to help her out with this. But it'll be through the Environmental Protection Committee, and it also asks that if any residents do see people dumping, that we have 2 different phone numbers to call to have enforcement agents come out and appropriately handle that. So we do have to. If this is in your packet. This is
No, you can pass them out, and we get CRS credit.
That's one of the biggest part of this. This river cleanup allows the town to participate with additional points for our CRS program. Sorry, it's really hard to talk with this, isn't it? So we get additional points for our flood insurance program. So that's why this program is very important. That's why we're working very hard. I want to thank Kathy Trost and Liz Bransmith for all the hard work that they did. So we will, if you want, if you have any questions on it, we're going to finish this tonight and then have it go out this week. Liz is going to order signs, and we have 30 different groups in the town that are usually involved, and the office will be sending out those notices via email, and then on the website. Was there anything else that I...
No.
Okay.
Will there be virtual pizza?
There's no pizza, there's no prizes, there's all the fun, nobody's going to get dirty. That's the fun of the whole thing. But you know what? We want to keep this in the awareness, because our rivers and our town, we have to keep everybody clean. And there's a lot of people out walking around, so they're looking at the condition of the town, and it actually looks pretty good. But
And the insurance program that Councilman DeLine spoke about, we'll get credit for that as well.
Okay.
From the
Excellent.
CRS.
yeah, it's a very important little program. It's 2 hours. We get a lot of bang out of that program. Okay, thank you. The water quality, I did ask Kevin to contact the DEP about the water quality at the lake. We have the really nice boat ramp now, and we still have an advisory, and we have a $250,000 project, and we have an advisory that we can't use the water. So I reached out to see what the status of the water quality is, and Kevin was kind enough to reach out to the department to see whether or not we need more testing. Do we have to continue on with the advisory?
The testing won't come from us. The testing will come from the DEP, and they'll come and do the testing and then inform us that the water quality is well,
Yeah,
okay.
As I mentioned last meeting, when I spoke to both Solitude Environmental and DEP, the DEP and division made very clear the DEP is not on a testing schedule. And they might come back, they might not come back, depending on what they notice. As they said to me, they have monitoring systems on the USGS systems along the Ramapo. The Ramapo has had some of the material there. If they notice a drop in that material there, they'll come back and test the lake. But the gentleman says, not a guarantee they'll be back to test the lake. At the same time, as mentioned last meeting, he said if it gets cooler, the stuff may die off on its own. And also Solitude made it clear that if the water levels, the oxygenation gets to a point where they can treat it and it'll go away. But I did call Victor again today, as Maria asked me to do, and he returned my call. He went out in the field or whatever, but I'm sure he'll call me back. But his point originally was the DEP, unless it was like Lake Apacon, Greenwood Lake, where there is economic issues, people have boating for rent and sale, people have restaurants on the lakes. They take a little bit of a different stance on those than smaller lakes relative to continued testing. So if you could close it back, we'll get with and see where they're at.
So how do we inform the public, though, of where we are?
Well, right now, at this point in time, the advisory still stands until the DEP tells us the advisory is lifted.
Right.
We have to take that
so
position.
I will make a call to the DEP and say, we need somebody to tell us if it's good or bad, because we have a lake here that nobody can use.
Well,
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
That's fine. But, I mean, I talked to a gentleman who's in charge of that division. He didn't call me back yet.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's, and look, it's been a short time, so maybe, we haven't had some issues. But the answer that we may come when we may come, that doesn't help us in any shape or form.
That's pretty much where he was at.
Right, so we'll have to figure that out a little bit. So I will try to make a call and see where I can figure that out.
Thank you, Mayor. The Lake Restoration Committee did bring that up as a question, and so they're looking for an answer. Thank you. And then my last point is there was a resident that, the 2 meetings that I've been here, there was a resident that asked about a art council. I thought I remembered an art center that was being sponsored, that actually Passaic County has an art center that they have volunteers go to, and it's only about a year old. And then what happened was COVID came, so they didn't do anything. But they're starting up, and it really sounds like a very good program. And they are going to have something at the end of September. This Saturday, they're going to have a Shades of Greatness, and it's going to be a historic review of baseball. Anyway, it's going to be at the John Ray House, and they do take volunteers to help them with different programs that they have. They're going to start up again. So I thought instead of us creating something, we already have one in the Passaic County.
Great.
Looks like a nice program. So I just thought I'd mention that. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Just before I get to the next person, I want to remind everybody we have our garage sale this Saturday. Let's remember to watch where you're driving, keep the speed limits. There will be people walking. Our biggest problem we have with the garage sale is twofold. One, it's people looking at the stuff in driveways and not looking where they're going when they're driving. And the second is putting garbage out at night and having huge piles that people sometimes go through to find what's left. So let's keep in mind we're trying to make this event work, and we're trying to make it happen. We have to do it all with social distancing. It all has to be done with masks. It is a personal responsibility of the house that you're at to follow the guidelines. The police are not following around people to see if they're social distancing. It's up to your own home to make sure social distancing is going on at the home. Okay, Councilwoman Polidori.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a very short report tonight. I just want to say I'm very happy to see that we're moving forward with the Lakeside project so quickly, and that there's a possibility we may break ground on the playground this year. That's wonderful. Good to hear. And I want to encourage everyone to please shop and dine locally as often as possible. And thank you for everyone's continued work during this difficult time. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Riker.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start, as Finance Chair, I really want to thank my 2 members of the committee, Councilwoman Polidori and Councilman Begg. The Finance Committee has been working particularly hard during these last few months. The invoices are much greater than we typically have because, Mayor, as you've announced on several occasions, we as a community have received over $600,000 worth of a grant money to spend to help us deal with the COVID, and that has increased the volume of work for the committee. And the other thing is the committee has worked diligently on personnel matters, and we are currently in the process of finishing up the police contract, and that has entailed many meetings and many emails. And I just want to thank them for their diligence, and also let the public know that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I'm concerned about the census. We have gotten a report recently that Pompton Lakes is doing better than most towns in Passaic County. However, the census, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be ending at the end of the month. I know we have said during these meetings how important the census numbers are in terms of much of our federal funding, much of our school aid, and other grants that are available to us. I would like to consider doing one of these reverse 911, letting people know that they only have, I think it's about 4 or 5 more days, giving them the website, assuring them that there are no immigration issues or other types of personal data that they may be reluctant to share, and how important it is to us as a community to get those numbers up. Have we considered that, Mayor?
We have done 2 of them, actually. We tied the one in with COVID, and one we did independently about a month ago.
Okay, it's probably time to do one last-ditch one.
Well, we can talk about it. I just get nervous using reverse 911 so often that people don't pay attention to it either, because sometimes we do have very important information that has to go out on it. I think everyone is aware of it. It's the people who are going to do it or not do it is really the question.
Let me just skip here a little bit.
Well, Kevin's going to say something.
The Census Bureau is in town. I spoke to the director of the Census for Passaic County, and he has enumerators in town right now, and they are doing the follow-up on those areas that did not see returns. So he said for the most part, Pompton Lakes did do a very good job, but there are enumerators in town following up on those addresses. Right now, Iron Forge seem to have some issues, and I got in contact with the Iron Forge management company, but they are in town, so they are following up on those areas where potentially there were not enough returns.
I know, Mayor, you're reluctant to use it. We haven't used it in a while, and I think this is critical. The other thing that I think we probably can still do is please reach out to the school, because their communications with the parents is very good and very constant, and just ask them to use them as another way to get the word out. There's really just less than a week left to
yeah, we could do that. We can reach out to the school and see if they'll put it in there. They've had a lot of updates themselves because the high school being closed, so I'm sure they're going to do another one. I think they're doing another one tomorrow, so I'll see if I can get hold of the superintendent to see if he could add a message to that.
I know our Michael Corelli does a lot of social media hits onto census on our different social media platforms.
But if the issues are like Iron Forge, we can do a specified reverse 911, right?
Yes, we can do that.
Carve out certain sections.
But they also have to be signed up for that notification.
Agreed.
Right, they would have to be
But
signed up.
mostly Iron Forge, we can see how many numbers we
I have to find out what those sections are.
Well, let's see what comes back with they're surveying the residents there, aren't they? Is that where they're going? Iron Forge?
Well, he made it clear Iron Forge had an issue. I had a couple of people who had handicap situations that they wanted to get to them. But they do have pretty much figured out where issues are. Pompton Lakes has either properties or areas, and they are working on that. The census enumerators, they're not down.
Terry, I can reach out to Paul or to Dr. Amoroso tomorrow and see if he'll add a message on about census. I think that's a good idea, and see if he'll do that.
And I guess I'll reach out to Michael and just see if there's something he can do to draw attention to his messages.
Sure.
Speaking of Michael, he did send out an announcement that we received, but I would like to help disseminate it to the community. Maybe Councilman Baig might be able to help through the bid. On October 21st from 9:30 to 11, there's going to be a virtual seminar particularly aimed at small business, an update on any and all financial resources that are available to the business community. It's free, it's virtual, but they do have to register. Michael Corelli has posted it, but if we can, it is a month away. Bill, if you could help share that with the bid, that would be helpful, and any of us.
Can you send that information to me?
Sure, and any of us who, let me just write myself a note to send it to you. And any of us who interact with some of the small businesses in town, I know Jen is passionate about supporting the restaurants and stuff. I'll just make sure you all got a copy of that, and if you could share it with the business owners, that would be wonderful. A number of us on the call had a virtual meeting with Nick Agnoli. Nick is our consultant who helps us with CRS. I think both Eric and Maria, during their reports, dealt with different things that help our CRS rating. In addition to some council members, there was Al Evangelista from OEM, Liz and Kathy, of course, were there. And I must admit, it was probably the best organized call I have been on in months. And you can see when working with Nick why he's so positive and so encouraging, and he's even talking about trying to get us down to a 4, which he says may be very difficult, but no harm in trying. So I applaud those who are working with him and keep up the good work. As the mayor indicated, redevelopment is very, very active. We have a major meeting tomorrow, and there are 2 follow-up meetings scheduled after that. We do have a big potential project in town, and this has been in the works for some time, but just in general, the Salvation Army project, which they asked us not to refer to that by the Lakeside residents, was deemed by the developers and the outside community as such a success that there is constant interest in redevelopment here in our community. And Mayor, the last thing is, this is the holiest week on the Jewish calendar. It's the 10 days of atonement. Anyone who is observing Yom Kippur, I'm wishing them a happy and healthy New Year. And somebody had said to me, what is the appropriate greeting for this particular holiday? And if you do have friends or colleagues who observe, the appropriate greeting is, may you have an easy fast. And Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you. I should report that I did have a meeting with the owners of Lakeside Commons just to go over some issues we were having, and he did report to us he is 100% occupied at this moment, and that he was done pretty quickly. It was less than 6 months that they got 100% occupancy. We haven't had real issues with the building. We haven't had issues with the parking or the cars or any of those other problems that a lot of people were talking about. So it's good to see the first project that we brought into town is really not causing issues. And I have to remind the public, and these are rough numbers, don't hold me exactly to these numbers, but roughly our take on taxes on that building before it was redeveloped was our take, the town's take, was about $19,000. With the new development and with the pilot program, we're roughly taking in $90,000 a year for 30 years. So you see how these pilots work. We get a better looking downtown, we get businesses that come in, and it puts money in our tax coffers. And as we all know now, times are tough all around the state, and any money we can bring in, it's a big deal. So that's one of the reasons why we've started this project. So thank you for reminding me of that. Professional reports. You want to go first? Do you want to go first? You go first.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you, Mayor. We have concluded the county board appearances on the 2020 tax appeals. 13 of the 54 appeals were resolved by way of stipulation, and we are currently awaiting the board's decision on the remaining 41. 41. 41.
Oh, boy.
So.
And do they carry over to the next year when we add new ones, or how does that work?
Well, if they will carry over next year if they're not otherwise resolved. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Minister's report.
Just a couple of things, Mayor. In my report, I talk about FEMA and the coronavirus funding policies. When this all began back in March, before we received CARES funding from the County of Passaic, we believed FEMA was going to be our lifeline to reimbursement. Well, not so much anymore. FEMA has pretty much shut the door on reimbursing for almost anything. The policies from the administration in Washington has changed, and anything we can do is on an as-needed basis. Right now, any type of sanitization that's for anything other than the police department or EMS services will not be refunded going forward. So we have the school systems do sanitizations. There'll be no FEMA reimbursement for that, and there was in past administrations and past times. FEMA has changed its position pretty substantially. I actually had a kind of a nasty back and forth emails with FEMA, and I asked them, well, I hope that the people in California and the South are going to get treated as fair as we're getting treated here with the COVID problem. But so, be it as it is, right now it was going to work out. Thank God the CARES funding came. Most of everything we'll have will be covered in the CARES, but our ability to actually, I talked to Sue yesterday, she agrees, our ability to see any type of real meaningful FEMA reimbursement is pretty much shot. So it's good to know going forward. I did a copy of Bob Bonfield's analysis of the COVID bond summary, so you have it there. As I said, it basically is just another way of doing a special emergency for 5 years if you have all the proper documentation and the state approves it. We finished all our paving on the Stiles Court area, Jefferson Avenue, from Colfax to railroad tracks. We did the firehouse, and we did the boat ramp. Right now, a Denver line painting is going to come into the striping in those areas, and that project will be done. We had our pre-construction meeting on Colfax Avenue. It was last Friday now, thinking back. Once we get the contracts in hand, he'll get notice to proceed. Hopefully he'll be in sometime next week after, in 2 weeks, probably for the beginning of October. It's a big project. We'll be taking trees down. We're doing some additional work. It's going to take a while to do. It's going to have to be some coordination because that's a major road between the county of Passaic County and county of Bergen. So it's going to take a little while, but we think we have a plan going forward. So that was a good pre-construction meeting. He's got to get his paperwork in. Today, the mayor and I had a meeting with the engineers from both the town, the developer of the redevelopment project, their engineers, Jerry Chiosa, who was the traffic engineer for the bid to talk about the pond hole. We're getting ready to finalize our design for the pond hole so we can go out to bid early next year so we can actually do the pond hole project in June of 2021. This is a big project. It is a massive undertaking. We're going to actually raise level of pond hole 4 to 5 feet. So we're going to be bringing massive amounts of fill in, get the pond hole so the drainage properly works, so the water will actually flow to Wanacue Ave to the river correctly and not based on a buildup issue and almost like a flush of a toilet bowl out to the river. So big project. It was long overdue. It'll help residents who park there, and it'll provide us with some secure parking going forward. The mayor talked about the borough nurse. The borough nurse is our person who does all of our contact tracing relative to the COVID-19. And I was getting my flu shot here the other day, and I was talking to Sue, and I was asking about, what are we seeing here? And she told me very bluntly, she says, understand one thing. The reason why people are getting COVID-19 is because it's not at work, it's not in the food store, it's when you're home, you're in social settings, and you let your guard down. It's you have too many people over your house for a cookout, too many people over your house for a family party. This is where it's coming from. Because people go out of the house, the mindset is, I got to prepare, I got to sanitize my hand, I get back in the car when I go to the food store, I got to wear my mask. The minute you're home or in social settings where you're more comfortable, this is where she's seeing it time and time again. To the point now she says, people can tell me, I know exactly where I got COVID, because you remember back to a party and Uncle Johnny gave me a hug or something, and all of a sudden, and again, it's important to note, it's all about distance and time. If you're 6 feet apart from somebody with a mask on, you'll probably be there all day long. If you're 6 feet apart from somebody or less with no mask on, more than 10 minutes, the opportunity, if they're asymptomatic, you might catch COVID, is far greater. So that's just important to know. But she said, be mindful of not here or at work, at home. That's where most people have the problem in relaxed social settings. Good to know. We talked about the businesses in town. Over the summer, the county, through economic development, gave grants out to local businesses to try to help them through this particular time frame. The county, for sake, is now trying to work with another organization to use some of their CARES money to again give grants to businesses in towns, but for the sole purpose of having them repay back their landlords. So the purpose of trying to have them revitalize their business and make themselves and their landlords whole. That was on our last kind of call with DeNova probably 2 weeks ago, so I don't know what happened, but they're working on substantial funding countywide so that businesses who haven't paid their rent, who are behind, can take this grant and use it to pay their rent and make the landlords whole and try to, again, support the economy. So that's good news. Hopefully that gets done between now and the end of the year, and that's more important.
Okay, just to follow up on 2 things which were good points. One, I speak with the nurse often too, and one of the things she told me that caught me off guard was there has been no reported cases from the state that says it was 2 people 6 feet apart with masks on that someone got the virus. So it's always someone didn't have a mask on or was too close in distance. So we should keep that in mind. I know it's hard, believe me, it's hard for everyone to keep those masks on and keep the 6 feet separation, but it's said for a reason. So I think we need to remember that and refresh ourselves and reminding ourselves of that. And the biggest issue we're having with the landlords right now is these businesses want to stay open, but unfortunately they haven't paid rent in a couple months, and the landlord is saying, look, I have a mortgage I have to pay now. Somebody has to pay me or I'm going to lose the property. So hopefully the county people take advantage of this and they can slowly get them back on their feet. I think the biggest concern we're having that I'm hearing from businesses that don't own the building is I haven't paid rent in 5 months and he's asking me for all 5 months. And there's no way these people can pay that money back in the 5 months. So knock on wood, our downtown is doing pretty well considering all the obstacles in front of them. We've had 4 new businesses open in the last 6 months in downtown, which is pretty remarkable in this setting. And hopefully we can help them all get back on their feet. Any questions for the administrator?
Mayor, I have a question.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Kevin, in our report, you included that Bob Feinfeld's memo about the Corona bond. But I guess I couldn't tell from the email. Are we in the process of taking out those bonds? What is the status?
No, we're not. I want to get a handle on what the legislation is really all about because we need to know our operational situation moving forward. As I said to you last meeting, my concern is that we've had a very good tax collection in May, good tax collection in August. Certainly the good tax collection bubble is going to burst. As we know, 40, 50 million people still don't have jobs in the United States. Some have to live here in Pompton Lakes. Somebody's not paying their mortgage to their mortgage companies. Those guys aren't going to be paying us eventually. So we have to see where we're at on that. If the governor changes the state aid going forward and the new budget is passed in the next few weeks, we have to decide on doing that. I want to know what the implications of the bond law was and if it makes any sense, because again, eventually, if you're only going to take out X amount of $100,000 to pay yourself back in 5 years, you have to weigh it off as to is that a good move based upon how much surplus you have in reserve. I'm just trying to get a feel for where I stand going forward so we don't end up putting ourselves in a worse financial situation down the road if it just means kind of a little bit of pain in the short term. That's kind of where I was at. But no, we're not doing anything yet, but I just need to know what the real ramifications are and what the real process was if those bonds had to be implemented.
Okay, thank you.
And I can tell you this part because I'm involved with the budget a lot. Kevin has done a good job in getting us a surplus that we think we can carry ourselves through with what we got, even if we have a hard time. But we have to see all our options in front of us to know if something really goes bad that we have an option to reach out and get this money. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, I don't think we're looking at trying to use that money right now. but we want to leave it as an option in case we have to.
Last-ditch option.
Right, it's a last-ditch option, and I think we've done a good job here, Mayor and Council and Administrator, of keeping our budget tight and keeping our surplus large enough to get us through some tough times. And I can tell you, I'm on phone calls with the mayors once a week or twice a week. Some towns haven't done that, and some towns are having issues in just reaching out to pay their employees because their tax money coming in was a little less, they didn't have a big enough surplus, and they start to run into a little trouble. So, towns can fall into that very quickly. So that's why I think we're looking at all our options. Any other questions? Okay. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Councilman Devine?
Yep.
Can I second?
Second.
Council President Vennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Seeing only one, you're the man. Come on up.
I don't know where everyone else is. David Barney, Cornell 7 Federal Hill Road. Hey, yeah, as I got here, as I was looking at the meeting schedules in the town hall for all the different meetings and so forth, then are they all still going to be in here, like the Board of Health or Shade Tree and whatnot?
No, so most meetings are Zoom meetings. There's been a couple in person. We're one of the few. The council is one in person. I don't think I know of any others. Board of Health does, but they meet every 2 months. I think those are the only two that are meeting in person. Like, for example, I was on a zoning board meeting last night. It was Zoom. I'll be on a redevelopment meeting tomorrow. That'll be Zoom. So most of the meetings are Zoom. Right now.
Yeah, just by looking at the schedule and everything, I'm like, okay, so are they all still going to be in here because of COVID and whatnot?
Yeah, all the agendas, if you go through, let's just have a board adjustment meeting, it'll tell you if it's a Zoom meeting, it'll have the Zoom call numbers. That's how you'll find out. The meeting, that just gives you the dates of the meeting. The particulars of the meeting we found on the agenda. So when you go look at the board agenda meeting or tomorrow's development meeting, it'll say Zoom meeting, where to call. That's how you're going to find that out.
Oh. Okay, yeah, then... And also, if you don't mind, then can you repeat the reverse 911 for me? Because I didn't quite get what Terry was saying.
No, and there is no reverse 911 call to repeat. We haven't put anything out, so there's nothing to repeat. She was talking about maybe putting out one for the census, to remind everybody to do the census. That's all.
Oh. I guess that's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to close the public session.
So,
Council President Vennon?
Second.
Councilman Devine? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor? Anybody have privilege of the floor? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
Well, you guys got to talk louder with masks on, because I don't know who's saying what. Councilman Devine?
First, second.
Who was first, Maria?
I was.
No, not me.
Councilman Brennan. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.